Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is First Reaction TV. My name is J Mart. Today, we're going to be watching a clip from the House Subcommittee investigation into the federal government and its weaponization, or the weaponization of the federal government, I guess I should say. I saw a little clip from an FBI agent. Her name, well, I know her last name. Her name is Miss Baker. She apparently is one of the ex-FBI agents that came forward for these hearings. And I don't know. I thought I listened to a little bit of her testimony. It was some pretty powerful stuff. It just, I don't know. It really resonated with me, and I figured we'll check it out and listen to a little bit of it.
Williams, Miss Parker, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Miss Parker, I'm sorry, not Miss Baker.
Miss Parker, hit that button. There you go. Thank you.
Chairman Jordan, Ranking Member Plaskett, and members of the subcommittee, I would like to thank you for inviting me to come and respectfully speak to you today. The people of this country deserve the right to have faith in those sworn to protect. Faith is the foundation of hope, and hope can be restored through honest reflection of who we have become and who we could and should be. On September 11th of 2001, I was working for Merrill Lynch in the World Financial Center in New York City. I witnessed up close the horrific, deadly terrorist attacks on the adjacent World Trade Center. My colleagues and I evacuated our building and were led to safety thanks to the heroic efforts of NYPD officers. 2,977 souls were not as fortunate that day. As I watched the mayhem unfold to include people jumping to their deaths, I was shocked, heartbroken. I vowed to God that I would give back and serve this great nation. This vow led me to leave a multi-billion-dollar hedge fund in 2009 and apply to become an FBI special agent. According to the Wall Street Journal, around 45,000 people applied to be special agents that fiscal year. About 900 made the cut, and I was one of them. After 5 months of arduous training at the Academy in Quantico, I was a sworn-in special agent assigned to the Miami division. I considered it a very sacred responsibility and was honored to be entrusted to protect and serve the American people. My entire career was spent in the field, where I believed I could make the strongest impact in rescuing victims and putting criminals behind bars. It was my privilege to work alongside the finest and brightest in the FBI, local law enforcement, and our federal partners, participating in the investigations of myriad criminal cases. The Marjorie Stoneman Douglas high school shooting in Parkland, Florida, the 2017 Fort Lauderdale airport shooting, the Caesar Sayoc pipe bomb case, multi-million-dollar Ponzi schemes, crimes on the high seas, bank robberies, murders for hire, sexual assaults, extortions, and more. Yes, it was physically taxing and emotionally jarring, but I believed I was making an impactful difference. And every day I woke up and I embraced being an FBI special agent until things changed. Over the course of my 12+ years, the FBI's trajectory has transformed. On Bureau, the Bureau's mission remained the same, but its priorities and governing principles shifted dramatically. The FBI became politically weaponized, starting from the top in Washington and trickling down to the field offices. Although FBI employees have their First Amendment rights, they are not at the liberty to allow their personal political views or preferences to determine their course of action or inaction in any investigation. Lady Justice must remain blind. Those that do not uphold these responsibilities cause a negative ripple effect throughout the agency in the field. It's as if there became two FBIs. Americans see this, and it is destroying the Bureau's credibility, causing Americans to lose faith in the agency and therefore the hardworking and highly ethical agents who still do the heavy lifting and pursue noble cases. It makes it very difficult for agents to do their job when the FBI loses the respect of the American people. There has also been a shift in recruiting practices, a lowering of the eligibility requirements, which is negatively impacting the agency's performance. And all this adds up to a loss of trust in the FBI by many Americans and low morale among many FBI employees. For many, becoming a special agent was their calling in life, but now it's merely a very dangerous and high-risk job with minimal contentment. Wary of consequences that come with voicing their displeasure, these agents keep their heads low. They work hard and they stay off the radar, and they count down the days until they can collect their well-deserved pensions. For me, Distancing myself from egregious mistakes, immoral behavior, politically charged actions taken by a small but destructive few FBI employees became exhausting. Although I was always treated with the highest level of respect in the Miami division, I no longer felt that I was the type of agent that the FBI valued. I began to lose passion for the career I loved, and peace came as I reflected on the victims I assisted, the criminals I took off the streets, and I remembered positive performance reviews, awards, and accolades I had been given, as I left nothing on the line in my work as a special agent. I held out as long as I could, hoping things would improve, but finally I knew it was time to go. So less than 4 months ago, of my own volition, I made the difficult decision and quietly walked away from the FBI with an exemplary and spotless record. I love the FBI I joined, and I have treasured memories working alongside remarkable people. I'm proud to have served with honor as a special agent. And while I sincerely pray for the FBI's future success, the FBI's troubles of late were bigger than anything I could change. Going forward, I will continue to serve others in our beloved country while honoring and celebrating the true heroes, both past and present, of the FBI. When I was invited to participate in this hearing, my initial reaction was to decline their request, as there may be others more capable who would do a much better job than me. And why would I want to subject myself to the stress of testifying, putting a target on my back, and likely facing public scrutiny? As I prayed about this invitation, the thought came to me: to whom much is given, much is required. And I realized that this is not about me. I have been given the opportunity to speak up on behalf of numerous current and former Bureau employees who feel similarly, but they do not have a voice. I am not here today to show favor to any political party. I am here to stand for the truth based on my experience at the FBI. In all humility, I hope to make an impact in creating a stronger agency, which is what Americans deserve.
Thank you, Ms. Parker.
So I mean, look, there's a ton to unpack there, but at the same time, I didn't want to stop it in between. I thought a lot of it was some real powerful stuff. So I mean, I'm gonna try to unpack some of this, remember everything she said, but to even start at the beginning, she said that she worked at Merrill Lynch. I'm sure she had one hell of a paycheck, working there, and she left after 9/11, to serve her country, and that hit home, you know, just because of I think what everyone that's in their probably early 30s and older experienced during that time frame, where everyone was so patriotic after that happened, and everyone wanted to come together, everyone wanted to do the right thing. Basically, all my friends, I mean, even some, and a lot of them right now, are, some of them are still serving currently, and a lot of it was because of those incidents that happened. I mean, it was, back then, for young males, it was, or young men anyway, it was, there were recruiters all over the place for Army, Marines, Navy. I mean, it was a huge ordeal. I mean, we were, it was just, I don't know. It's just, it hits home, man. It just hits home, and I have a ton of respect for her, for that. And some people that may be watching this may think that she got over emotional, or she's emotional because she's a woman, but at the same time, you know she's getting upset because she still feels all of those feelings. You know what I mean? Like, she's one of those people. Um, she's one of those people that you want working in the FBI. She's one of those people that you want working at a job where she has, or where she, puts country before people, or she puts, something of a higher power in front of herself. Um, you know, like you would think the FBI would, or what you would want the FBI to be. Um, and I don't know, like, it's sad to see someone like her, because even though she is a female, and I'm talking, and my experiences were pretty much all men. All my male friends went off and did this. I still see them, myself included in her, of what she feels and what she felt, and the fact that she said that she no longer felt welcome even working, with these people. Like, could you imagine how bad, shit would have to get for someone like that to say, I no longer want to work for my country. I no longer want to serve my country in this capacity anymore. Someone who clearly loves it, who valued her job, who left a cushy, banking job to go do this, that she walked away from it because she said that the values of the FBI no longer valued what, they used to. And like, that is incredibly concerning. I mean, and it has to be. And if you're looking at this from like um, a neutral perspective, or like a non-biased perspective, not looking at Democrat or Republican, because that's the way everything is now, there's no way that that experience could sit, or someone could look at that experience or her experience and say, "Oh man, things are going well. I'm so happy and proud of my government." And it kind of all leads back to everything else going on right now. Like all this stuff with the Twitter files and the FBI, messaging, Twitter, and having meetings with Twitter and telling them who can and can't speak, who can and or who can and can't have accounts, whose accounts should be blocked. Um, like, that is incredibly concerning. And it's also Republican and Democrat, where all Republicans say bad, all Democrats say, what? What? There's nothing to see here. There's nothing to see here. Everybody's just crying wolf. It's normal for the government to get in touch with privately owned companies and tell citizens and block citizens that they're not allowed to publicly voice their opinions. Like, once again, if you're trying to look at this in the most neutral way possible, I don't I don't see anyone who could make that argument saying that it's a good thing what the FBI was doing. But because it was mainly conservative people that got shut down, or all probably all conservative people that got shut down on Twitter, or who were conspired against, or senators and or Democratic senators that were messaging Twitter, getting people blocked and thrown off. Maybe the fact that it only happened to conservative people, there's still no way you can tell me that it's right. And the fact that every Democrat, like it's all of them, it's every single Democrat in the House committee will stand up there and say that there's nothing to see here. Like, that should disturb everyone to its core. That, like, just because it's blue team versus red team, no one can sit up there and say, hey, this is wrong. And, like, that's just another scary thing. And, like, no wonder she left. Like, no wonder she left. Like, it's incredibly sad and disheartening that someone like her had to leave. I wish she would have stayed, because they need more people like her. But it's no wonder, man. Whenever you have a huge blue wall of people saying that, hey, we're gonna do all this, do this, do this, do this, it might not be good, but as long as it doesn't happen to us, we're okay with it. Like, that's so disturbing.
Thank you for your service. We'll now proceed under the 5-minute rule with questions. The chair recognizes the gentlelady from New York, Ms. Stefanik.
We're just going to watch the next line of questioning here real quick. I haven't checked it out yet, but I'm kind of curious to see what the next person has to, or the first questioning. I guess it'd be, yeah, it should be questioning. So we'll see what the first line of questioning brings, and probably end it at that.
I want to echo the chairman. Thank you, Ms. Parker, for your extraordinary service and your courage for being here today. Mr. Turley, I want to start with you. The Twitter files laid bare for the American people what you correctly call unconstitutional, quote, censorship by surrogate. Matt Taibbi writes, quote, Twitter's contact with the FBI was constant and pervasive as if it were a subsidiary. Do you agree with that assessment?
I do. What we know on the record so far shows a relationship that goes beyond this sort of informal exchange of ideas.
You're correct. In fact, isn't it true that leading up to the 2020 election, Twitter had weekly meetings with not just the FBI, with DOJ, with DHS, with DNI, to conduct this unconstitutional censorship by surrogate? We know that because of the Twitter files, correct?
Correct.
And it was not just meetings, not just censorship of stories like the Hunter Biden laptop story. We also now know that the FBI paid Twitter over $3.4 million of taxpayer funds to censor these stories before the 2020 election. Is that correct?
That money was paid. Twitter confirmed that.
Hold on. What did she just say? The FBI paid Twitter?
DOJ, with DHS, with DNI, to conduct this unconstitutional censorship by surrogate. We know that because of the Twitter files, correct?
Correct.
And it was not just meetings, not just censorship of stories like the Hunter Biden laptop story. We also now know that the FBI paid Twitter over $3.4 million of taxpayer funds to censor these stories before the 2020 election. Is that correct?
That money was paid. Twitter confirmed that.
And the Twitter files are just the tip of the iceberg because there's so much more. There was a corrupt...
What? What? Okay, how did I not hear about this? The FBI paid Twitter $3.5 million? What? For what?
revolving door at the highest levels between the FBI and Twitter. Look.
Yo, if anyone's watching this and they know more than I do, go ahead, comment, whatever. I got to do some more research apparently because I'm completely in the dark about this and I'm blown away right now.
No further than Jim Baker, former general counsel at the FBI who helped unlawfully investigate Donald Trump in the 2016 election. Or look at Jim Comey's deputy chief of staff, who became the director of strategy at Twitter. Isn't it true, according to the Twitter files, that there were so many FBI officials who then went to work at Twitter that created their own Slack channel and crib sheet for onboarding? The Twitter files confirm that, correct?
Correct.
Are you aware, as the American people are aware, that according to polling, of the people that were made aware of the Hunter Biden laptop story, 53% would have changed their vote, including 61% of Democrats.
What?
This is the definition of election meddling, and it's the definition of election meddling by the FBI on behalf of Democrats.
Dude, I don't know about that. I mean, like those are incredible numbers. 50% of people would have changed their votes, and there's no way 60% of Democrats in any category would have voted for Donald Trump. I'm sorry, but dude, they hate that man so much. 60% of zero Democrats will, vote for Trump. I don't know about this. I'm kind of curious to know what she's talking about, or else I misunderstood her. I have no doubt that, misinformation and, some of the cover-ups could have impacted the voting results, or not the voting results, but the way people did vote. Look, people believe what they believe, and, if they are led to believe one thing, they vote a certain way. If people are, led to believe something else, then they'll vote a certain way. So, I truly do believe that people's votes could have changed. But, man, look, Democrats hate Trump. Like, hate. So, I'm kind of curious to know what she's talking about.
Paid for by the U.S. taxpayers. It's collusion, it's corruption, and it's unconstitutional. Ms. Parker, I want to go to you next about your experience at the FBI, because this is not just about the Twitter files, which folks are focused on because of the news it made. It's about a systemic rot in the culture and the politicization of the leadership of the FBI, and it needs to be rooted out. Let's take a step back. Let's look at the targeting illegally of parents who wanted to stand up for their kids at school board meetings. On September 29, 2021, the National School Boards Association sent a letter to Joe Biden equating parents at school board meetings to domestic terrorists. And on October 4th, Attorney General Merrick Garland issued a memorandum to the FBI and U.S. attorneys that the department would use federal enforcement tools to target and prosecute these parents. Do you consider parents as domestic terrorists?
I do not consider parents as domestic terrorists. No, I do not.
No, and neither do the American people. But there's more to this story. It goes back further than that initial letter on September 29th. Because the letter didn't happen organically, it was solicited. It was solicited by the White House and by the Secretary of Education. Essentially, the Biden administration laid the predicate for which it used to justify illegally targeting the American people, targeting these parents. Is it proper protocol as a former FBI officer to set that predicate, to manufacture the reasoning to justify opening an investigation?
I believe that no one should be targeted for free speech and that violence should never be tolerated under any circumstance, but it should definitely not, no one should be targeted because they want to speak up at a school board meeting.
This was a setup, and it was the setup, and it's the real definition of weaponization of the government against the American people. And it's not just this example of targeting parents at School Boards Association. It goes back to the opening of Crossfire Hurricane. It goes back to the faulty FISA application. It goes back to what we heard on that first panel from Senators Grassley and Johnson. It goes back to the suppression illegally of the Hunter Biden laptop story paid for by the U.S. taxpayers.
Yeah, see, I mean, look, that's why. Look, once again, like we're in this world where, all Democrats right now are still sitting here saying, hey, nothing to see here. All Republicans over here, they're using, the House subcommittee to put on a show and to grandstand and all this stuff. Like, look, regardless of how you feel about the conservatives or regardless of how you feel about President Trump, if you go back and you look and you start adding these things up, the investigation into him was fake. Like it's been proven to be false. The Steele dossier, Crossfire Hurricane, like they never found anything. The Russia collusion, investigation, literally, like here we are, it's 2023. It wasn't a real thing. Like, and you start adding this stuff up, and now it's like the Twitter files, the Hunter Biden laptop, deal, and now the school board thing kind of, like I didn't know how to feel about it originally, because obviously if there's parents causing all kinds of hell and threatening people like crazy at school boards, like I guess they could be considered, I guess, domestic terrorists. But at the same time, like every single one of these towns, every single one of these cities, they all have police stations, all of them, like all of them. Like we don't live like in Alaska or Antarctica or somewhere where these towns have no police anywhere. Like each one of these towns have a local police station, normally a sheriff, a police station, and then there's state police. So like there's normally like 3 different police precincts to deal with or to go to. So like that's where this completely confuses me. The fact that our own government, that's where this gets even weirder, where it sounds like the Biden administration like apparently came up with this letter themselves, and then like they used their own letter that they wrote to justify sending FBI agents to investigate these people. And it's like, why do you need the FBI? Like, even if like if you throw out the scenario there where parents are actually harassing school board members, there's local officers, there's local troopers, I mean, like all that stuff is in place. So like to have a national FBI agency be involved in that. Like, that doesn't make sense once again. Like, if you're trying to look at this honestly, explain to me why the local police aren't good enough. Like, this isn't the Taliban, on the other end of the planet where you need the CIA. Like, this is small towns, small police departments. There's normally like 20 to 30 people at these school board meetings, 50 if it's a packed night. Like, we've all seen the videos. It's like, where does the FBI and the White House come into this?
This corruption needs to be rooted out, and it's not just about protecting the U.S. Constitution. It is most importantly about protecting the American people from the weaponization of the federal government against them. Yield back.
General Yates.
Well, hey guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate you watching the video. Please like and please subscribe. It can help me out a ton starting out, this new YouTube channel. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it, and I hope to see you next time. Peace.